Finally, a bell pepper sprout. Today should be the first day that we see them, and I'm hoping that by the end of today I will see more than one, because as tall as these are getting, and this one even, I don't know if you can see it, but there's like a teeny tiny extra little leaf starting to come through. So I really need to take this humidity dome off for the sake of the tomatoes. And I had completely forgotten that I had this issue last year, so I made sure to make a better note for next year to either start the bell peppers about a week earlier than the tomatoes or start them in different pods, because they definitely take a lot longer, the bell peppers do, to sprout. But we're finally starting to get somewhere. I think I might also start these today, because it does say on the back that the days, not to germination, but days to bloom is 80 to 90, which is way more than the zinnias and the daisies. So I think starting these indoors to get them a head start so that they're all blooming more around the same time, probably not a bad idea. And then these, I don't even know what they are. It's just a little wildflower set that came with something that I got from Grandma's funeral. So I'll probably put those in a little pot and see what comes up. And then these, let's see what the days to bloom. It's a lot less than the others, wasn't it? Oh gosh, no, it's 180 to 300. That almost sounds to me like it should be started in the fall. No, it says when soil is warm, and for early bloom start indoors. So holy cow. Yeah, I guess I need to get these started ASAP as well. So probably start those maybe today if I have time.
Good afternoon. So for today's lunch break, I am going to start some flower seeds, and if I have time left, I'm going to also go and scoop the last of the soil out of my little garden cart and toss it into a trash can that I'm getting rid of. That shouldn't take too long. That should only take a few minutes, so I should have time to do both. But for now, I'm going to get these started. I went outside and counted the spaces where I need the flowers, and so I decided on 14 Cosmo plants and 10 of these little daisies. And these daisies are the short ones. They only get like a foot or less tall. This says 8 inches. So anyway, I'm going to do probably the daisies first since there's less of them, and then we'll move on to the cosmos. Okay, so I decided to actually just do the daisies and wait on the cosmos, because I can tell that I'm just not going to have enough to fill all 14 of these containers. This one, I'll probably need to get a new bag of each. So I'm going out after work, and I'm picking up concrete blocks to do the garden bed outside. And so we got to go to Menards and pick that order up. So while I'm at Menards, I'll probably just run inside and buy one more bag of each of these. And then I'll do the cosmos after that. And, you know I still have other things. I have herbs to start. I have jalapenos, nasturtium. So I still have a handful of things that need started that just get started a little bit later. So they're still like another week or so away. So I'm definitely going to need more. But anyway, for now, I'm just going to go ahead and get the daisies planted, because I do have enough soil to do that. Ooh, these are teensy little seeds. So I think instead of like making holes and putting in a certain number in each one, I'm going to have to just kind of sprinkle a few and then thin, because these are entirely too fragile and delicate to try to place one in each of these. So let me just grab my little tools. Ugh. And we're going to rake back the surface a little bit and sprinkle. And I'm definitely going to have a ton of these seeds left from the looks of it, so I'll probably text my mom and see if she wants the rest of them, because these are perennials, so I should not need to start any more next year. So if she could make use of them, then May as well. And then I do, whenever, and I think I mentioned this in a previous video, but whenever I do seed starting, I always use a spray bottle because I don't want to just pour water in and then displace the seeds and like kind of flood them out. So in order to keep them firmly in place where I stuck them, I use a little spray bottle to get them going. And then once they sprout, I will start actually watering instead of spraying. Okay. And that is that until I get back here with some more soil. I'm kind of tempted to go ahead and start filling the pots. I don't know. I don't want to stop in the middle and then come back to it. So, and I don't know if I'll do it tonight because then I have to set up the studio light and everything. So I think I would rather wait until probably tomorrow on my lunch break because that's when the light's going to be the best in here. So anyway, we will pick back up with it then.
All done. I had to turn the camera off because my son doesn't like being on camera and he was gonna help me, so. But anyway, there they are. 40 concrete blocks plus 15 of the little solid half height blocks that I'm using as stepping stones. So I might go ahead and try placing some now, but we are gonna be going to Cask for our usual Tuesday night hangout. So I may just wait until lunchtime tomorrow and go change, but at least they're here and ready to go. Well, there's the first row done.
And I am going to be a couple of blocks short. I had 2 spares in the garden shed, but I need 4 more. So I ordered 40, and then I changed my mind on how I was going to do this configuration, and so now I actually need 44. But there she is in. The reason I changed it is because initially I was going to do it the same way I did these beds, where I have 3 and then I have another one that starts like butts up to the very end and goes down, where this one butts up to this row of blocks. And so then you do the opposite on that end, and then it makes like a circle. And I was going to do that here, except with 4 blocks. So I would have had to start right here and do a row down, and there would have been about 6 inches of space between rows that way. So I changed my mind at the last minute and decided to do 4 and 4 with 7 down the sides. So now I'm going to be 4 short, but no big deal because I have 2 left over and I just need to go buy 2 more. Scratch what I just said. I will have exactly enough. I got to looking at it and I was like, man, this looks way too long and I don't have enough room for my pots that I was planning on putting down here. Something's not right. So I came out and I measured, and I need 8 feet for this green thing back here to fit inside of this. And it was almost 9 feet. So I just took 1 block out and then put 3 in the center to connect them. So now it's perfect and I don't have to buy more blocks. So anyway, I'm gonna go get myself cleaned up and ready to go. And then honestly, this didn't take very long, so I should be able to finish stacking all of them tomorrow on my lunch break. And then after that, I will have to get the rock to finish all the landscaping. And I've got little pavers to put down for stepping stones too, because in the summertime, I don't wear shoes out here very often, so I don't wanna walk on the rocks in bare feet. But anyway, I will catch you guys later. Well, there's the first step done. The blocks are all in, and now I need to worry about the soil, and I am going to line inside these blocks with some more landscape fabric and then fill from there so that the cracks are all sealed up. So I did not build the bed properly, and I have done it improperly on purpose, and I will explain. So normally if you're going to do, 2 stacks first and foremost, you're going to want to offset them, kind of like this retaining wall is. So you're going to have a block here and then you're going to go over so that the seams are kind of stair steps, and that makes it more sturdy. But I stacked one directly on top of the other on purpose because I want the holes to line up so that I can put carrots in them. Because with just 1 block deep, like I have on the other 2 beds, when I do carrots, they hit the bottom and then they just kind of stop growing and they end up being pretty short. So I wanted to make sure that I had the holes all the way down for growing longer root vegetables like that. And then another reason that I did not do this properly is that I've not glued the blocks together, because at the very least, if you're not going to offset them like that, they should be glued. And if you glue it, it's permanent. You can't move it. You can't do anything with it. And I don't intend on moving this garden again, but I also know that I never intended to move it from where it was before to here in the first place. So just in case, for whatever reason, I find that this doesn't work out, or maybe, the tomato bed shouldn't be here, maybe it should be on the other side, or whatever the case may be, I want to be free to move these blocks. And as soon as I glue them together, that's it. Even if I can get them apart again, there's going to be glue on the sides. They're not going to line up. They're not going to stick together. So I'm just leaving them like they are, and I'm using fabric to line the insides in order to keep the soil in, and that's going to be that. And finally, the last reason that this is not considered proper is that I didn't level the ground. And that was also done on purpose. Let me show you my yard. So from a distance, you can probably see that we have a slope here and here to the middle. So back behind the greenhouse, like right back that way, there is a drain in the yard. And as you can probably tell, at one point, this yard had a lot of water drainage issues. This was prior to me ever living here. But, you know, if you can see the way the neighbor's yard is, it all slopes down. And I suspect that it was that way all the way down my backyard. And there were issues with water getting into the basement. And so they had built this retaining wall. And then they deliberately sloped the ground this way to guide water back to that drain. And so I don't want to level these beds because I want to keep that slope to keep water draining as it's supposed to. Now, when we built the greenhouse, of course, a structure like that needs to be level. And so we did set that level. And then the very first thing that happened when it rained was that it flooded. And so then, if you can see right here, this little drain cap, I had to dig a trench all down the side of this greenhouse back to the drain is right there. So I dug a trench all the way back to that and then buried a drain so that now when it rains, water collects here and runs back. And so I don't want to level these beds because I don't want to stop the flow of water or end up with water pooled in any of the beds or any of my beds flooded. So I want to keep it this way. One thing I do need to do is water is still kind of pooling right here a little bit. I thought it would flow through the rock, but it isn't. So I am going to pull this rock up and I'm going to cut the fabric and I'm going to dig a trench down along because right here is where it really needs to get through. So I'm going to dig a trench right along there and then relay all of the fabric in the rock. That way it is deep enough there that it can actually flow through the rock and get around this corner here to the drain. And then all of the drainage should be secure for this garden. But so there you have it. Not done properly, but not done properly on purpose, and it will definitely serve the purpose that I need it for. So also, if you are one of those people that likes symmetry and this being asymmetrical bugs you, join the club. But I also did it this way on purpose as well, because so I'm going to have that crop cover right there is going to go on this bed once I get the tomatoes in, and it's because the squirrels are insanely thick here and they will rob every tomato from the plant long before it has a chance to ripen, so I have to keep them covered. And since that is pretty tall, I want to have it to the back because the sun is this direction, so it shines this way onto the beds. And so if I put it all down here and then I had that on it and then I put my pots on the back side, they would not get enough sun. They would be kind of shadowed from this. So I want to have my pots here in the front where they can get the best sunlight. So that is the reason that I did it that way. And I mean, realistically, whenever I put these in, I could have scooted them all the way back, but I really didn't want to do that either because I wanted to be able to leave the greenhouse and go any direction and not be forced to have to walk all the way down here in order to get around the beds. So I did it that way on purpose. Yes, it kind of bugs me a little bit too, but I will get over it very quickly, I am sure. And just what are we doing, Missy? Excuse me. Hi, Ember. Did I scare you? Say, I'm an old lady and my hearing's not the best anymore. I'm going to be 17 in a couple of months. And I love laying on Mom's clothes. And I have the most hair of any cat in the entire world. I might look like a short hair, but I've got some very, very thick furs and they stick to everything. Isn't that right? And here's the baby missus, who is going to be a year old in just over a month, about 6 weeks. So we've got the baby and we've got the old lady. And the old lady does not like the baby. Woo! What happened? Say, I knew Mama would catch me. Except Mama only had one hand, so that was a close call, wasn't it?
Good morning. We still have just the one bell pepper sprout right here. I haven't seen any others emerge, but I took the dome off. I couldn't wait anymore because these tomatoes are getting so tall and leggy, and I moved them under a light where the light could be closer to them. But let's see how well we can see this. It's harder to see under this light, but we have the first set of true leaves that are starting to come out, especially on these early girls, and I even see teeny little bit here on a big boy. And so when we get the first set of true leaves, that means it's time to pot up. And I'm not going to do that today. I have enough going on, I think, but Saturday, probably, I will go ahead and start potting up the tomatoes, at least the ones that have their first set of true leaves, so probably the early girls. And then that will help be able to put the dome back on this as well, so that some more of these bell peppers can sprout. And until then, I'm just going to have to keep the soil moist. Also, I'm finally seeing some marigolds come up, and it's been so recent that I put the second sowing in this carton that I bet this is probably the original ones that I put out. But since the seed packet was a couple seasons old, it just took it longer. So, and then I hate showing you this because I think on the camera it's probably really hard to see, but there's little teeny tiny specks of green where you can sort of see some onions, some green onions starting to unfold from the soil. So here in a few days, we should see quite a bit of activity in this.
Good morning. So what you've just witnessed me doing was pouring boiling water into these planting beds in order to kill any of the remaining roots or seeds from the weeds that were in this topsoil when I picked it up last fall. So I'm hoping that this is going to work, because kind of the whole point of doing a raised bed is, well, one of the points is to eliminate weeds, because you put down a barrier so that you kill off the grass that's underneath, and you put in sterilized potting soil that does not have any kind of seeds or anything like that in it, and it's able to help you with weed control. And so by getting the topsoil, and it was completely full of weed seeds that came up the first time I planted something in the soil, it kind of defeated the purpose. So before I add any of the potting soil that I'm picking up this weekend to these beds, I thought I would go ahead and give this a try and see if I can't kill off everything that's in there before I add fresh soil and I'm ready to start planting for the year. So we'll see if it works. Let me show you what I did last night. So I didn't film this because I just had about an hour of daylight left after I got off work, but I went ahead and took half the soil from each of these beds and relocated it into this one. And I also have like a little brush pile right back there under that tree. And so I had a lot of like limbs and a couple of even kind of some logs from a big limb that had fallen out of that tree once that were old and scruffy and decaying. So I've read that you should never use green limbs or tree waste or anything when you're doing this, because it can actually burn the roots of your plants when you put them in it. I have never researched that to check its validity, but I kind of decided to err on the side of caution and just used old dried out wood. But I put that in the very bottom to kind of help decrease the amount of soil that I'm going to need. And then went ahead and tossed this soil on top. But you can see the little bits of green in it. Those are weeds that came up whenever I've sowed my fall crop of greens in that soil from the nursery. So that's what I'm trying to remediate with the boiling water. And then the next vlog is going to be me picking up soil to fill in and finish off these beds. So this is where I'm going to leave this vlog. And I believe this will be on the next one as well. So if you want to see the progress, make sure to come back on, let's see, this one will be Sunday, so Wednesday. See you then.